Yes, guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to this afternoon's stream. And yesterday, it was more heartache for Chelsea in the Wembley sunshine. A second consecutive final loss against Liverpool this season, both on penalties. And Chelsea become the first side in history to lose 3 FA Cup finals in a row. Again, a game of fine margins, but ultimately, the Blues leaving empty-handed, and it's becoming an all too familiar feeling at Wembley. Last 5 domestic finals in a row, all lost now. That is concerning. It really is. That's not unlucky. That's a habit forming, and it's something that we need to shake off very quickly because we are getting a tag as Wembley bottlers, which you can't really argue with it. The evidence is there. Yesterday, the game itself was fairly close. Liverpool started really well. We grew into it a little bit. Both teams had really good opportunities to score. And like all our matches this season, all draws in the 90 minutes. There's very little between the two sides. Yet the big difference is that when it matters most, Liverpool stand up and are accounted for, and we go missing. It's as simple as that. How many times do we have to say it? Over and over again. We do not take our chances, and you will pay for it. And it's exactly what happened yesterday. But even after sleeping on it, still absolutely gutted. This one really hurts. It does. The third one in a row. And it's just like, when's this going to end? I mean, George, we were both at Wembley yesterday. It was a great occasion. Always good to go to an FA Cup final. Our first one we've attended. But again, we're just leaving with a massive sense of disappointment and an all too familiar story.
Yeah, it was set up for the perfect redemption, wasn't it? The sun was shining. Wanted to end that quadruple run for Liverpool. And I just felt, I listened to Thomas Tuchel's comments after the game, and even looking back, I still feel like, how have we lost that game? It's like everything was set up for us. We got the end for the penalties, unlike the League Cup where they had their end. We had the chance. It was almost like a deja vu copy. Unfortunately, they have become the team that we were 10, 15 years ago, where they didn't necessarily have their best game of football yesterday, but they find a way to win, and the best teams find a way, whether it's penalties or what have you. It's just so frustrating that, we've played another 120 minutes against the so-called best side that's ever been, which is a complete overhype. And, the chance at the top end cost us, not the defensive bit, which is, you could argue, is the harder bit against Liverpool, defending, the players that they've got and the way they play. But, just watching some of the chances again, watching the highlights back, we just don't have anyone that you can call a match winner in that side. As much as we've got goals around the pitch, as the chances went by, the game went on, you just felt, and you could sense the nervousness. When we went to the penalties, you saw the difference in the crowd reaction. Chelsea looked nervous, quiet, didn't want to get involved. Liverpool almost believed at that point. And it's those fine margins, unfortunately, in cup finals that make the difference.
Yeah, 100%. I think you hit the nail on the head there as well, is that yes, okay, Liverpool, Klopp's been working with this side for a while now. He's been building it. The vast majority of the players are all his signings, and he's been there for a time now where he can get his ideas across and everyone's bought into it. Everyone understands, everything's good. And this is their purple patch. This is their time at the moment. And it's shit for us and it's shit for all people that don't support Liverpool. But yeah, it's just, it's frustrating. It really is, because, as you say, mate, we're not used to losing finals. People say, "Oh, it's not like Chelsea." This is Chelsea now. This is us. The fact of the matter is that all those years ago, when we didn't lose finals, when we got there, you knew we were going to win with your Lampards, your Drogba's, your Czechs, your Terrys, your Essiens, your Ballacks, all these top players. Now we've got talented players. We've got no real leaders in the team. There's no spine. And we haven't got anyone that is a match winner, as you said. Where are the match winners? Where's that one person that's going to unlock a defence or put one chance in the back of the net? They don't exist. They just aren't there. And it's a real big problem. As I say, mate, the last 5 finals, 2 League Cups and 3 FA Cups, we've only scored 1 goal. 1 goal in the last 5 domestic finals, and we've lost every single one. The defence is doing its bit, we're keeping teams out, we're staying in the game. But the other end of the pitch, mate, what is going on with this attack? We've talked about it so much this season. It's not just this season, it's the last 3, 4, 5 years. Like, what do we do with this attack? And why can we just not score any goals?
It's the story of the season, though. And Paul Merson had a really good point saying that we've got to May and Thomas Tuchel still doesn't know what his best attacking lineup is.
Yeah.
We're constantly chopping and changing. And I know you have to take into account players that are in form or injuries and what have you. And I know, we had a discussion on the train, didn't we? That actually in his post-match interview, there were reasons for the substitutions and the lack of attacking options yesterday, which we weren't aware of during the game. But, we just, like you said, mate, we haven't got those go-to players that you look around. I know City play a different way, but just looking back at some of the highlights from years gone by of cup finals, that Everton game, for example, in the cup final, we played poorly, but Drogba, Lampard coming up with goals from random moments in the game where particularly momentum wasn't even swung at that point. And we missed that. And unfortunately, Chelsea are in a transitional phase at the moment where we've hit the absolute peak so early that it's very hard to replicate the highs of the Champions League final. And since then, we have taken a downward course. And I don't know how you solve it. We're still looking to try and, find a system for Lukaku. But again, is Lukaku a match winner?
I think he can be, but
debatable. I don't think he takes his chance. He's not as clinical as, say, a Salah or Mane if they get through on goal.
No.
A Kane, like Harry Kane, if he's presented with those chances yesterday, he probably, or Song, they probably finish them. I don't know. And I'm not going to blame Tuchel because I think we stayed in the game. We were underdogs yesterday. And let's face it, I know we've said we've lost the last, 4 or 5 finals at Wembley, but 3 of those have been penalty shootouts in a game of complete lottery.
Yeah, but that's still, you say it's lottery though. Like there is quite a lot to it. And for me, there's a reason why we keep losing the penalties. Once, okay, you might be unlucky. To lose 3 finals on a penalty shootout, I don't think that's unlucky. Like something fundamentally is not right, whether it's the mentality of this and it's the mindset and maybe the mentality of the players. Do they just not have it in them in these high pressure moments to actually step up and put the ball away? Like, I don't know, because, it's like with England as well. England barely ever win penalty shootouts. And I think it's weak mentality. Can't deal with high pressure moments, freeze. And for me, I don't want to call Chelsea bottlers, but mate, it's hard not to disagree with people that say, "Oh, we are turning into bottlers," and I think we are, because time and time again, when it matters in those pressure moments, we always fuck it. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say bosses because I think the mentality isn't as strong as Liverpool's. Like you said, Liverpool purple patch, they're at a peak level.
But this is everything for us this season. Liverpool have potentially still got the league, maybe. I know that's an outside chance, but there's still a possibility. And they've got the Champions League. This is all we have to play for this season. And yet, the kind of, I don't know, the desire and wanting it, I don't know if it was really there.
It's hard to say because you look at the tactics and you look at the way the game panned out, and you'd probably say you take a 0-0 in 120 minutes. I think that we perhaps should have gone for it a bit more in extra time when the game was a bit more stretched, because knowing the previous penalty shootout, you get all those psychological mind games where we've already lost. I think that performance yesterday, if we're not playing City or Liverpool, we win that game. Now, I know that's obviously that doesn't say anything because, of course, you've got to beat the best teams to win it, of course. But there's a psychological factor now with Liverpool, and they're probably the worst team to play in these moments because they do feel they've got the 12th man. They feel unbeatable. Even in penalties, you saw the crowd's reaction for them compared to us even before the start of the penalty shootout, that they almost knew that they had the edge, and we lack that belief. I don't think the penalties were particularly poor, but
I think Aspie always goes the same fucking way every time. Like he just, But I mean, we'll get to the penalties later. But Mount's penalty was poor. Aspie's penalty, he just does the same every time. He never does anything different. So as a keeper, you know exactly what he's going to do. All you got to do is go the right way, like for him. But I mean, the game itself, mate. I mean, I don't think we did the preview on the Friday night. And, we picked what we thought would be the lineup, and it's exactly what it was. I don't think I have any complaints there. Kovacic, obviously, he wasn't great, but he wasn't fully fit. He really wasn't. But, apart from that, mate, it's exactly what we thought. And, to be fair to them, Liverpool started so quickly. Like that first 5-10 minutes, I was thinking, shit, we're bang up against it. We'd be lucky not to let one in. They were constantly getting in behind us. Diaz was having a lot of success against Chalobah. But, mate, we did grow into the game. We had a few chances in that first half as well. Once we absorbed that early pressure, we did get a little bit of a foothold in the game. But again, we had quite a lot of the ball, but we didn't do an awful lot with it. Were you feeling worried in the stands, like with that Liverpool fast start? I thought we could be banging trouble.
Yeah, the shouts of "Wake up, Chelsea" were surrounded the Wembley. It wasn't a great start, but you'd expect that from Liverpool. They always come quite fast out of the blocks. Despite that, though, again, it's the mentality, though. As soon as Liverpool get the ball, they look to move it quickly and think forward. With Chelsea, I feel like too many touches, always checking backwards. Even if we've got a potential break, it's just like, what's the safer option? Let's recycle the ball. Let's keep it. I get it for possession-wise and to give us a break because Liverpool are going to have more of the ball. So you want to relax a bit, have a bit of possession in the game, but just so slow and so many touches and just
if you move it quickly, like opportunities open up. Like as I say, the amount you take too long on the ball, everyone's got a chance to get back into position and reset. You've got to take. I don't think we take enough risks.
No, we don't.
We play it too safe.
Yeah, there were some lovely diagonal balls that opened up the game, and obviously Wembley's a big pitch, so you've got the opportunity to have a bit more space. But again, I just think the way they've set up, they get it out wide, they deliver to Robson and Trent, and they just deliver. It doesn't matter where it is, they just deliver the ball. There doesn't even need to be anyone in the box. They've just got their head down and they get that ball into a dangerous area. Chelsea are just always trying to be a little bit too clever in and around the box, rather than just getting the ball out wide, stretching the pitch, and just delivering into Lukaku. And when we did cross the ball into the box, we did nearly have some success. There were some very close opportunities where it just brushed past, went straight through to the other side. And I thought we did well in the midfield yesterday. I thought I
thought Gorginho actually had a really good game.
Yeah, he did.
I thought it was decent.
Yeah, but just again, mate, cup finals are fine margins as it is, but when you're playing a team like Liverpool, you've just got to take the chances. And it was a deja vu of the League Cup final where we had moments, crossbar from Alonso, Pulisic with a half snatch chance.
Pulisic had maybe 2 or 3 chances, and I
thought he was poor yesterday. I really wasn't impressed with Pulisic. I thought he was lazy.
It's difficult. I thought he was okay. Like he was one that looked like things were going to happen, but I see people saying I was really good apart from the finishing. That's like he was good apart from the bit that matters the most. That's not good enough. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like targeting individual players. Like, we didn't lose because of one player, but we lost because we weren't good enough at the end of the day. But Pulisic, man in the League Cup final, has got to take criticism for missing opportunities that he should be scoring at least one of them. Like, it's as simple as that. It's not an agenda. It's just saying it how it is. And Pulisic, I felt, was bright yesterday, but when it mattered the most, he couldn't do what we needed him to do. And that's frustrating. It's bad finishing. And you just have to convert those chances, particularly in a final. You cannot pass up these opportunities. But we did have a few opportunities also from that first half. Obviously, that Pulisic one, which we mentioned, the one that just went past the post, I think Mount pulled it back to him. Almost a carbon copy, as you said, George, of chance in the League Cup final. I think perhaps our best chance, though, was Marcus Alonso in the first half. Now, it was quite hard to see because it was down in the other end from where the Chelsea fans were sitting. But I watched it back on the highlights. Fuck me, mate. If his touch had just, been like, the touch was awful and the chance was basically gone. If he gets a better touch, he's got a way better chance of scoring. And I actually think that, I'm not saying he definitely scores, but a good touch. And Alonso, for all his faults, is actually pretty decent at putting the ball in the back of the net. So I think there could have been a great opportunity there, but just frustrating, as you say, fine margins like that. But Alonso's touch was so poor, wasn't it?
Yeah, but when you're asking a left back to take an amazing touch in the box, that kind of sums up what Chelsea are at the moment. I saw it from a bit of a better view, and it opened up perfectly. Great pass, and he's just got to take that touch and get it under control, close to his feet. Unfortunately, it rolls away from him, and then Alisson's got the advantage then because he can close down the angle, quick, and blocks it. I don't think it was a particularly amazing save. I think it just got away from Alonso, but it was just. I mean, again, Tuchel after the game just said, "Look, I'm still happy. I'm happy with how the whole game panned out. I'm happy with the performance, and he couldn't have done anything more." It's the analogy of you could teach a student and they could have all the knowledge in the world, but they've got to take the test at the end of the day. And Tuchel's done everything perfectly, given them the opportunities to produce, and they've let him down again by just not finishing. He couldn't have done anything else. If you'd asked him to set it up today, he would have done exactly the same, I feel.
Yeah, I haven't got any problem with the way we set up or anything like that. It wasn't a tactical problem. I thought we set up well. I had no issues with the lineup at all. It's just the same old story. As we've said time and time again, we don't take our chances when it matters. We just don't take them. And you're not gonna finals of they're not generally high scoring affairs. There's normally one goal in it either way, the majority of the time. And if you don't take those chances when they present themselves, then you don't deserve to win the trophy. And that's what happens to us. It's the same thing. But I mean, Tuchel was saying that kind of the difference between us and Liverpool. I'm just going to bring it up now because I can't remember the exact comments. Is this the one? No, maybe not that one. 2 seconds. I'll just bring it up. That one there. I just need to find it now. But yeah, we just can't really match them. That's the problem. But I don't know. This one here, I'll just bring it up now. Him saying, they have an awful lot to play for, have everyone available, and they built this team for a long time. They are very, very consistent, and we are in the opposite situation at the moment. I think, I mean, George, do you agree with that? No, I mean, I'm not sure about an awful lot to play for. Yes, they've got more to play for than we do, but this was our big moment. But agreed on the fact that they built this team for a long time and they're very consistent. We just aren't. Do you think those comments are fair?
Well, we're definitely not consistent. They're in a different stage of their development than we are, and I think it's starting to show that actually longevity at a football club is paying off. They've stayed with Klopp. Like we said, Liverpool have gone a long time without Silva. I mean, I think that was their first FA Cup in
10 years. First one since the Gerrard final at Cardiff.
So you look at that and you think, they've had to wait a long time to get it right, but they're now on a wave where they'll probably hope, Klopp signed his new deal. Pep's doing the same at City. I really do think despite, this, final, getting to finals and perhaps bottling it, we've still got the right man in charge. And I think
for sure. Yeah.
We could be there in 3-4 years' time if we give him the opportunity to do so. I get what he's saying about the comments. He also mentioned, I think, in a more expanded version about the situation with the sanctions and that, we're not able to look for players at the moment, which makes it more difficult. But yeah, I'm not buying that they had a lot to play for. Yes, they got the quadruple, but it's being greedy, isn't it? Quadruple's never been done. We had one trophy to play for the last couple of months, and we should have been giving it our all. And I think we did. We didn't leave anything left. But
no, I would agree. I don't think we could have done, too much more. That's not the one. This one here. Yeah, I mean, it just goes on to say that the difference for me is that they can do this again on Tuesday or Wednesday. They can do it again and again and again. We struggle for consistency on that kind of level. They have a bigger group on a higher level. We were missing too many players today. Cover plays with an impossible ankle injury. N'Golo plays with 0 training sessions on 100% intensity, 2 training sessions with 50%. Nobody knew what would happen. We missed Kai, we missed Timo, little points. We play against a very competitive Liverpool. Do you think that's the difference, George? Is we're not making excuses or anything because, you just take the loss on the chin. But the fact that, Klopp's been drilling this squad, moulding it for him for a long period of time. They know exactly what to do. Whereas we can't really do that. We're in a pick and mix of a squad that's one player is Thomas Tuchel's and Lukaku, which again, you can argue whether he was happy to have him on board, but would he have picked him? We're not really sure. the rest of the players belong to Lampard, Sarri, Kante. Some are still there from even Jose as well. Like, that's the big difference, isn't it? Is that this Chelsea side is not moulded in Tuchel's image at all. He's having to make do with players from other managers until he gets given what he wants.
Yeah, and it's team cohesion as well. I mean, it sounds harsh coming back from, 2 0-0 games against Liverpool and losing on penalties, but the Liverpool dressing room compared to a Chelsea dressing room is different. Liverpool know exactly who's going to be starting pretty much every week. That they know their best team. They know that regardless of what situation they're in, they can come back in a game of football. They're on that crest of the wave where everything just seems to be going for them. Luck or, great performances, even bad performances, they come back. I think Chelsea going into this game, did they really believe? If you're really looking around that dressing room, can you really hang your hat on someone and say, look, if we're bang in trouble, are you going to get us a goal? I don't know if they're, they probably didn't even know the lineup until...
Do you think we lack characters? I know we talked about it before, but... in dressing rooms of the past, I don't want to go back to the past, constantly like a broken record because times have changed. It's not the case at Chelsea anymore. But Cech, Lampard, Terry, Drogba, even players like Essien, Ashley Cole, like absolute warriors on the pitch, winners, leaders. You look around, you're like, shit, I don't want to let these guys down. We can count on these guys to help to get us through this. I look at it now. All right. Where's the leaders? Where's the personalities? Okay, you can say Thiago Silva. I don't know, he's the most vocal. Aspi is a captain, and he doesn't strike me as vocal as in someone you'd go to war for. Do you know what I mean? I just don't think you would. And you look on the pitch, you think, okay, Rudiger, maybe Silva, Jorginho, potentially a little bit in midfield, but that's it. That's a big problem, isn't it?
But that's why it's so hard to put my finger on it, because these players won the Champions League. I mean, these players.
Yeah, but we overachieved doing that. I know we pulled together and we somehow managed to do it, but I think
shows
again
characters though.
I think it's papered over the cracks though. Like the Champions League win has kind of made people look over the bigger issues. We don't have any leaders, mate.
But then I think
we've been so blessed in the past, and I know you can't compare, but. Right now, mate, if you were in that Chelsea dressing room, would you want to go to war with any of those players? Not really. Maybe one or two.
But then you say that, but then I don't think Liverpool have particularly... I still think our squad matches theirs. I still don't think that... I know they've got Salah and Mane and all the rest of it. Henderson, okay, great leader, but bang average footballer. I mean, let's be fair.
You say bang average, but I mean, like he's still...
Oh, come on.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying he's amazing, but
he should be a boss. Kante should be able to boss. I'm still not buying it. I still think some of their players are overachieving. I mean, Robertson's turned into an absolute world beater at left back, but
yeah, he's a top player.
But then even then, no Salah yesterday for the most of the game. Virgil van Dijk, no Fabinho. Like, we can't make these excuses. We have to be doing.
I just think they've got a strong mentality.
I mean, Shimikas winning the cup final. Shimikas.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, but I think I do think lack of leaders is a problem, because when it's difficult and when it's in those fine moments, that's when you need someone to get into those players. Like, guys, come on, pull yourselves together. Like, full well that in that huddle before the penalties or before extra time, mate, JT would be letting the boys fucking know. What are you doing? Like, we don't have that. Like,
this comes down to your point about it's Klopp's team. Like, those are all of Klopp's players, so they all buy into what he's doing. Whether it's Tuchel, specifically with Chelsea's situation at the moment, a lot of those players know that they're not going to be there next season. Tuchel,
that's a big problem in itself as well.
Tuchel also has players that he knows he doesn't want, and they're still there. So everyone in Klopp's team, they are literally a team. You could see that in the huddle, whether it's even with the extra time, they all came together straight away as a group. Chelsea all spread out and Tuchel going individually one by one. You see the difference straight away. Yeah,
but I also think, it's a good point as well. A couple of things in the chat that, signings, Liverpool's recruitment has been fantastic. And yes, they sign talented players, but they sign players the right mentality as well. You look at Luis Diaz, top player. Don't get me wrong, team's interested in him. He comes to Liverpool. He's got that warrior mentality. Mate, he's been there since January. It looks like he's been there for years. Like, it's the recruitment. It's not just signing talented players. It's signing personalities and strong mentalities. And that's what we need to do more of as well, because the squad's lacking it. Too many soft players. Too many pussies, basically. Like, it's as simple as that. There's too many pussies in the squad. Like, just, players with weak mentalities. As you say, mate, half the fucking team aren't even going to be here next season. Half, maybe more, don't even want to leave themselves. We need strong mentalities. We need to weed out the weak players. Get rid of them. Just get rid of them. We can't have those personalities there. But as you say, mate, it's gonna be a transition period. We need to build too. It's not going to happen in one window. We need to move a lot of players on. Tuchel needs to be able to bring in what he wants. Go to the gaffer, ask him what he wants, who he wants. Go and get them. Just do it. We're either backing the manager or we aren't. But I mean, back to the game itself, mate. Obviously, first half, fairly even. Both teams could have really gone in ahead at the break. Second half, again, more opportunities. I thought we started the second half really well, particularly those first 5-10 minutes. We had quite a few chances. Liverpool as well had decent opportunities, hitting the woodwork a couple of times. Robertson at the back stick, Diaz hitting the post as well. They probably had more chances, probably the slightly better ones. But we could have got the job done as well. It was fairly even, really. Some of the substitutions, George. I know we've obviously had explanations afterwards. A couple of guys in the chat asking where Timo was. Timo was on the bench, but he got injured warming up, so told Tuchel that he couldn't play. So that obviously limited us there as well. No Kai Havertz, who was injured. So attacking options from the bench, there was nothing. And obviously Kante come on for Kovacic. But the one that surprised me the most, mate, I know Lukaku didn't have a great game, but at least he was a presence up there. And, he occupies defenders, creating space for the likes of Pulisic and Mount, etc. I thought when we took him off, we had nothing up top, mate. There was just nothing there. We had Ziyech, Pulisic and Mount. There was nothing. Were you surprised that Lukaku went off, particularly given what we had on the bench attacking-wise? I could understand if Timo or Kai Havertz had come on, if we had them. But, we completely missed the focal point, and then we're still putting balls into the box with three small players.
I thought it was bizarre because I thought if you're going to bring on Hakim Ziyech, you leave Lukaku on for his service.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why he brought on Ziyech and then decided that actually we're just going to have, like you said, three very similar sort of players who almost play this either wide or number 10 role and all interchange. Lukaku, look, he didn't have the best game yesterday. Very difficult against Virgil van Dijk. But he was still a presence. And like you said, mate, he can... we've brought him in to be a match winner. Give him the opportunity to do that. I know he played the majority of the game, but he can also take a penalty. We saw that against Wembley, so there's no reason why he couldn't do that. I thought that was a really a strange one for me. And then obviously, the Loftus-Cheek one I thought was ridiculous. But yeah, that's just...
Oh, mate, Loftus-Cheek came on at fucking centre forward. That's what he come on for at half time and extra time. No Timo, no Kai. Just put Ruben up top. I think it was just a complete gamble. I didn't really understand that at all. Extra time, to be honest, mate, there was not really any chances for either side.
No.
There just wasn't.
Shut up shop then, which I thought was a mistake because it was.
I think it was there for the taking if you go for it.
Yeah, but then you're taking the risk. That's the issue.
Yeah, no one wants to lose an extra time. You'd almost probably rather get to the penalties than try and go for an extra time and get picked off. But yeah, not an awful lot going there. And to be honest, mate, you'd say after the 120 that a draw was probably a fair reflection on the game as a whole. I don't think one side particularly outplayed the other. We both had moments in the game where we were the better side. Liverpool probably had more moments, but ultimately I think draw probably slightly fair. And then you get to the shootout and okay, yeah, it's a lottery, it's anyone's game, but there is quite a lot to penalties these days. Mindset, mentality. And you think, right, we've got it down our end this time. That hopefully might make a big difference. But first things first, mate. Are you surprised that in our first 5 takers we've got? I know Alonso's actually not bad at penalties, but we've got 4 defenders in the first 5. We got Alonso taking the first pen, then Azpi, then Reece James. Then I can't remember now. I know Jorginho was one. And who else was in the first five? I actually can't remember who was in the first. Who?
I don't think it was Ziyech. He was
No,
after.
he was afterwards. It wasn't Mount either. James, Alonso, Aspie, Jorginho. Oh, it's fucking Ross Barkley, a guy that that barely even plays. I mean, are you surprised with the penalty order? I mean, Aspie, not that great at penalties, always does the same thing. He's taking a second pen.
I would love to know the routine of what happens in the Chelsea dressing room about, the pre-match, whatever it is for penalties, whether it's, on the day and he goes round, or whether it's, pre-planned and we know our penalty takers, because maybe that's the story of our season. Maybe he doesn't trust the front three that much that he's actually decided that none of them should really take penalties. I mean, that's what it's come down to. If you can't trust them to score in 120 minutes, why should they score from 12 yards when the pressure's on? I mean, that's the reality of it. But then I think it's down to probably what they've seen in training and all the rest of it. You can get some great defenders who take pens. David Luiz was one for us who used to
So, Ashley Cole was decent at them as well. To be fair, Reece James and Alonso decent at pens also. But yeah, I was surprised that Aspie was in there at number 2. And like the first 5 penalty takers, it was a bit strange. But yeah, Barkley come on for the penalty. Obviously, that's why he came on for Loftus-Cheek, was because Tuchel said afterwards that Loftus-Cheek not good at penalties according to the statistics and whatever they're doing in training or whatever. And Barkley is. I mean, obviously, Barkley come on and scored, so it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, I mean, sorry state of affairs when you're bringing Ross Barkley on for pens. Like, it's not good. But mate, shootout, obviously, first 2 converted. Aspie steps up and misses, and you're just like, oh, fucking hell. Like, it's a big ask. Mate, what were you thinking? Mane steps up against his Senegal teammate Mendy. Mendy not great at saving penalties at all. But he has to save this one to keep us in the tie. I mean, do you think it helps him slightly that it's Mane and he knows him so well? Like, he probably knew what he was going to do, do you reckon?
Yeah, and then going back to that Aspie one, I mean, again, we talk about Liverpool and having the luck. So Aspie hits the post, but I think whoever took the one after that it went post and in. So it just shows the margins that Azpilicueta hits the post, goes out, they hit the post, goes in. But yeah, building up to the penalties, I was actually thought the luck's gonna change, especially when we won the coin toss to have it at our end.
Yeah.
And then when Mane's penalty gets saved, I really do then think Chelsea have got.
Mate, I actually thought that was the point, mate. I thought, right, we're going to win this now.
Mentally, I thought they'd gone, and then
it just didn't happen. It didn't happen, mate. I mean, the fair play.
Or the next one, so we actually took the lead in the penalties. They had to score the next one, didn't they? After that,
yeah, I think because we were first takers.
Yeah, Jota had to score after Ziyech.
Yeah, we were first takers. So yeah, he had to score. I mean, look, fair play to Mount. He's been our best player this season. I thought he had an okay game. He's not done. He's hit and miss with penalties. He has missed a few for us this season. He just wasn't looking confident when he stepped up at all. And ultimately he misses, and it is a poor penalty. It's terrible. Mate, George, are you surprised at how poor Mount's record is at Wembley now? 6 finals, 6 losses. Every single final he's played, he's lost there. Playoff final with Derby, 3 FA Cups with Chelsea, Euros with England, and now and the League Cup as well. I mean, that's hard, isn't it? How can you lose 6 finals in a row?
Mate, he's going to turn into the English Michael Ballack. He's like been in all these amazing events, and he's never going to get a winner's medal. I'm absolutely gutted for him. And if there's one player that you can forgive for missing a penalty, it's him, because there's no way that he's bottled that or he's not given it his best. It's just, it's one of those things. I think if this was Lukaku missing a penalty, everyone would be up in arms saying, "Look, get him out." I'm absolutely gutted for him. You saw it, he was clutched on his knees. Henderson comes over, gives him a pat on the shoulder, and says his time. I'm sure he probably said his time will come.
To be fair, he has got time on his side. He is 23 years of age. I mean, you wouldn't expect him to not win an FA Cup or not to win a final at Wembley. I think he will, but
how often, you can't guarantee it. How often do these moments?
Well, again, this is the thing as well, mate. You're like, each opportunity that passes you by, you can't help but think, well, when's the next one going to come? I mean, we've had a phenomenal amount of success in getting to finals, but that's not always going to happen. Despite his young age, I suppose you can't help but think, when's the next time I'm going to get an opportunity? Like
it comes in waves. I'm sure if you ask any of the Chelsea players, they would still swap any defeat for what they've got at the moment, which is Champions League medal. So I wouldn't, Mount has won the Champions League at his age. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard and it's going to be rough now. And looking back at his career, he'll probably think, God, I could have had 6 more medals and trophies and all this.
Yeah.
But that's Tuchel again summed it up perfectly. It's sport. You've got to be able to accept it in sport that you're going to win some and lose some, and unfortunately, some players at particular times just lose way more. I mean, Ballack, look, classic example, World Cup finals.
Mate, lost so many finals. Yeah,
just happens.
It does just happen, and obviously, Liverpool win. We see the scenes. It's dreadful. Had to get out of that stadium ASAP, mate. As soon as that penalty went in, I was gone, mate. I was out. See you later. I was making a swift escape, mate. Probably the fastest I moved all day. It was straight out of that stadium. Get me to the tube and get me home. I didn't want to spend a second longer in there. Mate, very briefly before we get into the player ratings, don't want to spend too long on it, but now that the season's done, I couldn't care less about the last 2 games. Play the kids, do whatever you need to do. I'm done with this season now. But how would you look at it as a whole? Because I've got to be honest now, mate. Now that we've lost this, the aim of this season was to close the gap to City and Liverpool with 20-odd points away. We've not closed that gap at all. I've got to be honest, mate. I think it's a distinctly average season now that it's basically done. And you look at it, yeah, it's great to win the Super Cup and great to win the Club World Cup for the first time in our history. Fantastic. But let's make no mistake about it, disappointing how we went out of the Champions League. 2 cup finals lost on penalties in a season. We haven't closed the gap to the top 2. I don't think this season's been that great, to be honest. I think it's been average. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
I share a slightly different viewpoint in the sense that I keep referring back to what Simon Jordan said on TalkSport about how much more can we expect from a side that we know how good Liverpool and City are, and we have, in definition, with the cup finals and the league position, we've done the next best. And that's all we can expect at this point in time. We finished 3rd in the league, which we're never going to finish 2nd and 3rd.
Well, we've not closed the gap, though.
We've not closed the gap, but no one else has. And that just shows the level.
But no one else is capable of doing that. We should be closing the gap, and we haven't closed it.
Yeah, but then it doesn't matter if it's 1 point or 50 points. You've lost.
Well, no, yeah, true, but you should be getting closer each season. I just think with the gap not being closed and losing 2 finals.
Maybe, but football doesn't work like that. It's not like the next gap's going to be because it's next season.
No, I know, I get that, but
60 points next season.
I mean, I'm not sure I can look back on this season now and say, do you know what, that was a decent season. I just think it's been average.
It's easy to say that though. Because we win 2 penalty shootouts and we've got 4 cups.
Yes, fine. Yes, fine margins. It's fine margins, but ultimately we've lost 2 finals and we've not closed the gap. I think the expectation going into the season was really positive, and let's be honest, mate, we've under-delivered. And I think the season, it's been difficult off the pitch. There's been a lot of problems. We've had a lot of injuries, a lot of COVID problems, obviously ownership situation, Lukaku interview, etc. It's been difficult. But I think for me, when you look back at it, I think it's the highest standards we set for the club, and rightly so. But I just think it's been average, It's great we won the Club World Cup and it's great we got the Super Cup in the cabinet, but I just think there's been a lot of missed opportunities this season, and it's overall a sense of disappointment for me. I just wanted to bring one last thing up before we get into the ratings, mate, very quickly. This is ridiculous, really. Obviously, this is counting the Community Shield as a final. I mean, whether you count that or not is kind of up for debate, but it's still a trophy, I guess, on the line at the end of the day, whether you think it's significant or not. But Chelsea have lost 10 of the last 16 finals since 2015. Now, it's great to get there. Mate, I had no idea really that we had lost this many finals. It's great to get there, but you look at it, we've lost the Shield in 15, FA Cup and the Shield in 17, 18 Shield, 19 League Cup, 19 Super Cup, 21 FA Cup, and 22 League Cup and FA Cup. I mean, can you quite believe how many finals we've lost since 2015.
No, that's quite alarming to see it when you actually put it on the screen like that. Again, I had no idea. I mean, I knew our recent history wasn't great, but
Yeah, I didn't really realise either.
No, I mean, imagine you can't win them all. Obviously,
No.
let's not be ridiculous. But even turn half of those into ticks, and we've got considerably more amount of silverware, and we want to emulate. I think Chelsea still chant being a big club with a sense of emptiness compared to the likes of Liverpool, Manchester United. You could argue even Arsenal with their trophies. We've had the opportunities to not just close that, but overtake some of those teams in the separate competitions.
Yeah,
And
again,
like you said, great we get there because it shows consistency on a different level that we're still very much up there, even with this difficult period, that we can still reach the finals and match the best. But we've got to be more clinical, and unfortunately, it is going to take time, and we're going to have to be patient and hopefully stick with Tuchel. But
yeah, I mean, there could be more dark times ahead in terms of losing finals. I think it is going to take time, and maybe this is a transition period for the club. I still think we can win stuff next season, and we have won 2 trophies this season. But yeah, I mean, when you look at it like that, it's like that's not good enough, and that really does have to change. But right, guys, before we get into these player ratings, please make sure you smash the like on the stream, and please do click that subscribe button. If you're watching now, you're not subscribed, make sure you click the button. Trying to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the season, so please do help out there. We really appreciate it, mate. Let's get into these ratings then. Mendy in goal. I have to say, it's difficult, really. I thought his distribution at times was poor yesterday. But he made a couple of good saves from Luis Diaz in one-on-ones, and he did save the Mane penalty. Ultimately, it didn't come to anything, but he did his best. I thought it was okay yesterday. I'm probably going to give him a 6.5. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought he had a decent cup final, to be honest. Nothing, like you said, his distribution was sometimes difficult to swallow, especially when we were pissing around with it back all the time. But did save the penalty, did keep them out for 120 minutes. So I think that's a tad harsh, but I'll go with that.
6.5 for Mendy. Chalobah, I thought he did okay, mate. I felt he was getting exposed, and Diaz was getting the better of him quite a lot, particularly early on. Obviously, come off in extra time for Azpi. I didn't think he was awful, but he did struggle for large amounts of the game. I mean, it wasn't an amazing game. I'd probably just say maybe average for Chalobah. I'm probably looking at a 5. What did you make of him?
Yeah, I thought the occasion was getting to him a little bit, and you could sense when Tuchel made the change that it was the right time. I think he was particularly. I remember one when he was on the halfway line, the only one back, and he decided to leave it, and Tuchel was going absolutely mental. It was right at the end of normal time, and just you could tell he was getting overwhelmed, kicking the ball up in the air and out in the stands. And
yeah,
it's tough because I thought, for a final, as a defender, you've kept your best side out for 120 minutes. You've done your job, but I think lessons to be learned for him.
Yeah, let's move on to Rudiger then.
Legend, mate. He did have a good game.
I thought he had an okay game yesterday. Defensively was good. Not really. Didn't offer that much going forward. I think it was a lot more disciplined than normal. We're used to seeing him make a lot of runs forward and get near the opposition box. Didn't really see that yesterday. Had some good moments. I thought it was all right, mate. Probably a little bit better than Chalobah. I mean, I'll probably say maybe looking at. I think 5.5 might be a bit harsh. Maybe more towards a 6. How do you see him doing?
Yeah, 6.5. I thought he was. He was definitely better than Chalobah. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't his best. It wasn't his best game. But it depends what you're asking from a defender. Yeah.
I mean, it's quite hard, isn't it? Because we shut them out for 120 minutes, but they also defended well. But I mean, it didn't offer an awful lot else. I think that's pretty fair. Thiago Silva, mate, 120 minutes again for him. He looked absolutely shattered. Particularly at his age now. And what did you make of him? I thought he was okay. Some of the passing was a little bit off by his usual standards, but I still think he defended pretty well. And another decent performance from him.
I thought he was superb. Personally, I thought there was one poor pass that I noticed when he gave it back in the middle somewhere, but his spraying of the football. the arrogance to kind of turn people on the sixpence when they're coming at him. The control of the football. I thought he was superb. I thought him and James are the best on the day at the back. I thought, and I think he was. Yeah, I thought he was superb yesterday. I think the only thing that let us down is the amount of chances we had from corners and set plays in the game. You would think someone like a Silva would offer a little bit more with his aerial presence, because Liverpool are quite a small team, other than maybe Kante and Van Dijk, and I thought we could have exploited them a little bit there. But
what do we think, mate? A 6.5 or a 7?
I thought 7, maybe. Yeah, I thought he was decent yesterday, mate. He was very good.
Right, let's go to Reece James then. I thought he was good. Defensively, I thought he was pretty good. You know, he got stuck in, he got involved. I thought he handled Diaz reasonably well. Also, a little bit more disappointed with him going forward. There wasn't an awful lot from Reece going forward. There was a bit more at moments in the second half. He obviously scores his penalty in the shootout as well, which I guess, you know, he did his job in that regard. But yeah, I just thought he wasn't really very influential attacking wise. But I still thought he had a solid enough game. I'll probably say a 6.5. I mean, do you agree with me? Do you think he struggled attacking wise?
Yeah, I think there's a bravery issue. If he just did what Trent does, which is just have no fear and just go forwards and deliver balls. I mean, if he played like he did against Man United, I think we would have had a different outcome. But there was just that hesitance to go too far forward to expose us at the back. And that's an inferiority complex that Chelsea have against Liverpool at the moment, where we just fear that they're going to catch us on the break. But defensively, he had one of his better games, actually, I thought. Yeah, I thought him and Silva were the best in the lineup for me at the back.
Do you think 6.5 is fair?
Again, I think it's a bit harsh, because I don't think I think it's just because we expect more from him, particularly going forward.
Yeah, that's why I just think there wasn't enough going forward from him yesterday.
Yeah.
We'll go with a 6.5. Alonso, I don't know, had opportunities. Touch let him down really poor for that great chance in the first half. Decent opportunity second half. I don't know how much he means that free kick or not, but it almost creeps into the far corner. I felt he looked very isolated yesterday. Every time he got the ball in that wing back position, he seemed to have very few options on. There really didn't seem to be an awful lot of support for him on that side. He looked very isolated. It wasn't one of his better games though at all. Really, I've got to be honest. I don't think he was that great, but having said that, as I said, you know, I think it wasn't helped by the fact he seems very isolated out there. What did you make of him?
Well, again, fine margins, isn't it? He could have arguably scored 2 goals yesterday, and could have been that classic that we always affiliate with Alonso, which is kind of a match winner in those big occasions. And he nearly did it again yesterday, despite not having the best of performances. But he's just so easy to isolate for the opposition, because he's not got a great amount of pace. You know, he's never going to take you on in a 1v1 situation. So, yeah, I think particularly the way we play, you'd expect more from the 2 fullbacks yesterday going forward. But you know, he did have his chances. You can't deny it.
I don't know whether he's better or worse than Chalobah. Is it?
I thought he was better than Chalobah. I thought Chalobah was a bit shaky yesterday. I didn't think Alonso did anything particularly poor. Just
I'll go 5.5.
He still created 2. Well, he still had 2 very good opportunities to score.
I'll go 5.5. Let's move on to Jorginho then. Scored his penalty, captained the side. I actually thought he was quite good yesterday, mate. I know we lost, but and he did give the ball away a few times in midfield, but you know, he was winning the ball back in there. His passing was good. He was winning his duels. I thought it was one of his better games, you know, considering how poor his form's been in recent weeks. I actually felt he was quite good yesterday, and I'll probably give him a 7. He was one of our better players on the day for sure.
Yeah, and I think he's also one of those players that you could easily say, look, if we just kept him in the Chelsea squad for years, he could play that classic Italian role where he comes on and does a job like that. But it's whether he's prepared to accept that we need to move on from him and he can't start games because we need to be more expansive. As well as good as he is, that is a position that we probably need to take more risks. And if you play him, you know you're not going to create a lot of chances. So he did have a very good game. But again, for next season, I'm not sure what we do with Jorginho, to be honest.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, whether they will sell him this summer or not. Because I don't know if he signed a new contract at Chelsea or not. He's heading into the last 12 months next season. So, again, a decision to be made there. Kovacic, obviously wasn't fit. Tuchel saying afterwards he had a bad ankle injury and he was surprised he could even get his foot in his boot. I mean, it's worth taking the risk, but you could see he wasn't fully fit. You could tell that. It wasn't great for him at all, if we're being perfectly honest. I felt Kovacic was just average, but given the circumstances, I guess you can kind of understand why.
100%. I mean, we could all tell that he wasn't at it. He wasn't at it, and we had to risk it, and it was worth the risk in case. And he's been our best player this season, other than Mount, perhaps. But yeah, you could just tell he was off. He was playing at probably 60, 70%, and those are the risks you've got to take. We had no other option, so I feel that was, just a tough one to take because a fully fit Kovacic, perhaps the outcome's different. But
what do you reckon? Just average
for his standards? Yeah, I'd say
5.
5 or 6. Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I think the 5 is fair. Obviously, Kante came on for him with about 25 minutes to go. He definitely Kante was good in extra time. Mate, he was shocking when he come on for that last for that period,
really
for that last period of normal time. Mate, he was awful, wasn't he? I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah, but that's a classic case of you're asking someone to do something on the biggest stage in a one-off game against the best team, and he hasn't played any football. But for his standards, probably one of the worst performances in terms of that first bit where he came on. That's one of the worst things I've seen from Kante in his whole Chelsea career. I mean, just honestly, looked like he'd forgotten how to play.
Yeah, I mean, he improved in extra time, but yeah, it was certainly odd.
Some of the get-backs were incredible in extra time.
They were. Let's move into the front three then to round this out, mate. Mason Mount obviously missed the penalty in the shootout, which is obviously devastating for him and for us. What did you make of his performance as the whole, mate? I felt he was really quite good in between the lines yesterday, but without really having much of an effect on the ball. I thought in the first half, yes, he set up Pulisic's opportunity, but I felt he was quite isolated out on that right-hand side. I don't know. I just think maybe a fairly average game for him. I'm struggling to remember sort of an awful lot that he did in the 90. I'm not saying he was awful, but he didn't really affect the game very much at all.
No, I think you summed it up perfectly. I watched him very closely, and you could see he was getting very frustrated because, like you said, I think he did cope very well in between the lines and start the attacks off. And he actually was one of those more confident players to run at players and these little flicks around the corners. But I think he was getting frustrated with making a lot of runs and not receiving the ball and making the wrong decision at the wrong time. And that's been Mount this season. As much as we love him, and he's been probably the best player consistently, we just expect him to do a little bit more. And like you said, mate, if you actually look down at the moments he had, very few and far between. Didn't really penetrate the back four at all with a clear-cut opportunity, and that's what you need from a player like him in that sort of game. Mate,
I'd probably say just above average. Would you say a 5.5 is fair?
I think we're very low scoring in this ratings for a team that have kept Liverpool out for 120 minutes.
But in terms of like what he actually offered to the game.
Yes, but then I think in his example, I think you blame the players around him for not being on the same wavelength. I would have given him a slightly higher rating, but
I'm going to stick with the 5.5. Guys in the chat, let us know if you think 5.5 is too harsh. Should it be more, or is it okay? Moving to Christian Pulisic then. Despite those missed opportunities, I still think he was probably our most effective attacking player. I know he missed those chances, but every time he was the one that looked like he was going to make things happen when he picks the ball up. Yes, it's disappointing he missed those opportunities and he should be doing better with that. We know that. We've discussed it before with him. But I felt he was quite positive on the day, just couldn't do what we needed him to do most when those opportunities presented themselves. I mean, George, what did you think? Do you agree that you think Pulisic was our best player, most effective attacker, despite not taking those opportunities?
Yeah, it's the wording. Most effective, definitely, because he definitely created the most chances. But in terms of his overall game, I thought just too many touches on the ball. You watch someone that he's trying to emulate, like a Mane or Salah, where they just pick it up and travel, and they don't mess about. And if the opportunity comes, they play it, and it's just too many touches. His work rate off the ball needs work. I think he just doesn't. He doesn't put in a shift. But I like him. He's a very talented footballer, definitely.
it's just those opportunities, really. But I think he was almost effective. And by that regards, I guess we have to give him a 6, really. Let's move on to Romelu Lukaku then. Obviously, Kai Havertz injured, so he's, of course, going to start. A big opportunity for Rom here. Do you think he made the most of it? I thought he was average yesterday. He occupies the centre halves well, and actually that physical presence up there takes defenders out and it creates space for other attackers. But he had that one opportunity where he put a shot over the bar in the first half. But other than that, there were just moments where, we didn't quite release the ball quick enough to him. And other than that, he didn't really have that many opportunities. So again, perhaps slightly disappointing. But when he went off, though, we didn't look any better either.
No. I thought it was a better performance than what we've seen from him of late. I thought he did have a couple of good flick-ons, and he was definitely being more active in making the runs. But again, I think it completely showed that we've still not found a way to play Lukaku in this system, because he's not the type of player that's going to run around and, high press and chase defenders down. He's going to be a fox in the box, and you've just got to deliver, and we don't do that. And he's got to the point where he was coming so deep to receive the ball that it's a defender's dream, because yes, he's physical and can turn you, but he's not. If he's that high up the pitch, he's not really going to have an influence.
No.
And, when you're coming up against Van Dijk, I mean, very few attackers in world football can deal with someone like that. So I feel for him a little bit. And like you said, mate, you summed it up. As soon as he came off, we actually looked a little bit worse. So
I think just average for Lukaku yesterday.
Nothing. I really wanted him to use this platform to be like, I'm your man. You should have faith in me, but he didn't, unfortunately.
No, I mean, it was nothing. It was nothing awful, but it was nothing. There's nothing great, really, either. So I think that's fairly fair. But yeah, that's obviously our player ratings. But yeah, George, obviously, ultimately, disappointment yesterday at Wembley again. It's becoming an all too familiar feeling now, and the Blues require 1 point now from the final 2 home games to guarantee that qualification. Let's hope we can get it on Thursday night against Leicester. We don't want to take this top 4 to the last day of the season again. We're sick and tired of that. Just get it done. 2 games to go. Leicester Thursday, final game of the season next Sunday. Just get the season done with, regroup over the summer, invest in the squad, and then try again next season. It's been a long and tiring season, this one. We're almost at the end of it. So gutted to come away from Wembley with another defeat again. But what can you do? You stick with the boys through the good times and through the bad times. We're going through some bad times at the moment. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in live. Thank you for getting involved in the chat. Appreciate all your support. Please do smash the like on the stream, and please do click that subscribe button. We will be back. The matchday vlog actually from yesterday will be out later on today, about 5 o'clock UK time. So stay tuned for that to see the matchday experience. And then we'll be back next week. A couple of guests lined up for the podcast potentially, so stay tuned for that. Some good ones on there, and then we're back with Chelsea content for Leicester and Watford games. So until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and as always, keep the faith and up the Chelsea.